Fragments of silicon for that fall feeling.
Welcome to another installment of Fragments of Silicon. I'm your host, Adam. Joining me as always are Galax and Pettyfan. A bit of a programming note. If you'll recall, we were originally supposed to have John from Manga Gamer here tonight, to regale us with the latest goings on with his company, as he often does. As it turns out, Manga Gamer hasn't actually released anything new since the last time we talked to him. So,
and he didn't want to come over to rehash old things.
Yeah. So, in the interest of not having a fucking boring interview, it was decided that we move that to the end of November. Hopefully, they will have released some new visual novels by then. Also, next week we're going to be engaging in a experiment. More on that in the bottom of the show. But anyway, so it's time for the personal news. Petty, why don't you start us off this week, because you had to go to the hospital the other day.
Well, I guess before that, over the weekend, I learned that apparently my paternal grandmother has, I think, stage 4 colon cancer.
So that's no fun.
I mean, it's unfortunate. We also have never really been close, and she basically disowned me at 16. So it's more of a note for, the doctors that, hey, cancer is a possibility of running in my family, and just kind of moving on.
Mm-hmm.
And then, Monday, I had a gastroenterologist appointment on Monday, and I was having some really bad abdominal pain. They're like, yeah, if that gets worse, you might want to go to the ER. Well, guess who ended up in the ER Monday? That was not fun. Originally the thought was there might be something wrong with my pancreas. Turns out that was fine. It looks like the issue might be a ulcer.
Mm-hmm.
They gave me some meds to hopefully help with that. And I got a call from the gastroenterologist office today about scheduling a liver scan, because apparently, like on the ultrasound and stuff, they saw that I had a little bit of a fatty liver. So they want to make sure it's not like anything to do with cirrhosis or like permanent liver damage.
Mm-hmm. Did they recommend like antacids or anything for the?
They gave me, I think it's like Pepsid is the like brand name of it.
Oh
yeah.
So, because originally I was taking another one, I think it was like called omeprazole or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But they want me to switch to taking this Pepsid stuff, and if it starts hurting again, go back to the ER. Because one thing that kind of, depending on where the ulcer is, there's a risk of perforation of either my stomach or somewhere in my small bowel, and that's bad. That is very bad. So yeah, it's kind of, hoping the medicine helps, and just kind of waiting till January when my upper endoscopy is. And hopefully it's either healed up or it's easily treatable. And yeah, I think that's about it for me.
Right. Well, Galax, it's your go.
Not a whole lot over here. Still been playing Splatoon 3 pretty regularly. The amiibos for that got a release date, and the costumes for them were revealed, and they look pretty cool. So looking forward to that. And also preparing for our Digimon quote-unquote pre-release event next Tuesday. Took forever for the show to get, for the store to get,
Product.
stuff in to do it with. Can't really do a pre-release if you don't have the cards.
Yeah.
I already had a couple of errands scheduled for that day, so I'm just taking the day off so I can get there early. I have a dentist appointment at 3:30, and the thing's supposed to start at 5:30. So, it's definitely getting fall-y, although I guess we're getting a little bit of what you call Indian summer. Because it's supposed to be pretty warm the next few days, apparently. So we'll see. Other than that, Macross with Mac on Sundays has been continuing apace, although the stages get longer as you get near the end of the game. Last time we ended up going exceptionally long because of some surprise reinforcements. I can't say I'm personally shocked at it, but I didn't specifically expect it. And the fact that, see, sometimes we get into side discussions that are not directly about what's on screen, and I look away while we're doing that. And then usually he keeps playing while we're doing that, but I think one time he didn't, and that didn't help either. So yeah, that's about all I got.
All right. Guess it's my go. Well, let's see. In health news, I went to a podiatrist on Monday. If you don't, that's a foot doctor. In order to get what is a routine examination of feet for diabetics. It's something I've been wanting to do for a while, but my calendar finally opened up enough where I could fit this in. Like,
my understanding is that the base condition is that diabetes often leads to having some poor circulation, and poor circulation can result in specifically damage to the extremities where the blood has to go the furthest to get to, and you're more likely to notice any weird things on your hands, so it's good to have a doctor to look at your feet.
Yeah, so they did the testing, and it turns out I do have what they call peripheral neuropathy. That's the term you're looking for. Like, it's very mild right now, at least as I understand it. The doctor rated it on a scale of 1 to 10 to 2, like, and noted that indeed this is the most likely result of having my diabetes, blood sugar levels being high for a long period of time. He suspected as long as 2 years. Like, it could have been. Here's the thing, like, all that is known about the diabetes from, let's say, the before times is it was raging for a while, and I've been working to get that all under control, but unfortunately there's some damage there, like, and it doesn't look to be too bad right now. He didn't want me to come back in a few months. It looks like, from what he indicated, like, I'm not going to have to be tested again for this until next year, a year from now. Like, and he also, he looked at my feet. He said blood circulation's good, and there's no sign of deformities, which is another thing that can, happen when you have neuropathy, like, among other things. Like, it's basically I'm wearing, I need to wear diabetic socks. I need to make sure my feet are clean. I need to make sure my feet stay moisturized, that kind of thing. I do proper foot care. Um, watch out for rocks in my shoes and shit like that. And, as far as diabetic shoes go, I may need them, but that's up to my PCP. As far as any medication, he didn't prescribe or recommend anything. I think that was the bigger key, because I don't think he could technically prescribe anything. The way my health insurance works is I'm in an HMO, so a lot of stuff has to go through my primary care provider before I can get specialist stuff. And it's just through some, I don't know, weird loophole I was even able to go to the podiatrist to get this foot exam. It's like, if I had to go to an endocrinologist, which is a hormone doctor, or someone who's much more specialized in the art of diabetes, let's say, it's like I would have to go through him first, and we're not at that stage, apparently. Like, so, I've been dealing with that, and honestly, I've been dealing with that for a while. I think I've felt the symptoms for at least a year. Like, and why I didn't mention anything, I didn't know what it was until recently, but I suspected it was, when I'm learning all this diabetes literature. Now, the doctor did say, like, if there's any sort of, like, redness, swelling, cuts, that kind of thing, go see him about it, because, that's how I keep my feet from leaving my body. I'm not even joking, because that's where the whole poor circulation comes in to play. In terms of, you get a cut, it could not heal, and it can get infected down to the bone, and that's where that's where it gets ulcerated, and that's where they have to amputate. No, nobody seemed to be concerned about me losing a foot at this point in time.
I mean, really, the more feet you lose, the less. I don't know. I had a joke going, but it wasn't a good one, probably, because I couldn't find an ending for it. So never mind.
Yeah. So, so it was a kind of good news, bad news situation. Like, the bad news is, obviously, I have peripheral neuropathy. Like, the good news is it's like beginning stages kind of thing. But, it's just another thing I have to deal with. Like, granted, last night's sleep was rather tremulous, because, I'm laying there thinking, am I gonna end up in a wheelchair 5 years from now because of muscle weakness, or or because of an ulcer? And I talked to my therapist about it today. She's back in town, like, and unfortunately, it turns out her car accident was much more damaging than she initially let me know. That it's because turns out she injured herself. She actually
Is this in the car crash that wrecked her car?
Yes.
Yeah, that'll happen.
Yeah, I mean, she bounced and hit her head on the roof. Like, so her neck and upper spine discs are compressed. Like,
probably better than a concussion. So
I asked if she had a concussion. She did not. And she does have to use a cane. Honestly, given what she told me, it's a good thing she didn't end up in a wheelchair or dead. She said she was lucky to be alive. So we had a truncated 15-minute session where she helped allay a lot of my fears and worries about the peripheral neuropathy. Like, which is why I'm going to a therapist in the first place. It's specifically for diabetes stress management and anxiety management because I've been dealing with that. Like, and I'm seeing her once a month because even though the sessions would be like $15 a session, seeing her like once a week would still add up, and I'm on a limited income, so she agreed to once a month, and you know, also in terms of helping me with stress and anxiety, I've built up a friends and family network who've been helping me work through all this various aspects. Um, because I've been talking to a few people who have diabetes, and they've been helping, um, and so on and so forth. And I do thank everyone who's been helping me through this. That includes present company. Like, I find talking to Petty here helps because he's got a chronic condition, and
My meat suit don't work too good.
yeah, I mean, well, I've hit the stage where mine has hit the skids. So
we'll see how mine progresses too. So
yeah, though my doctors are optimistic that my diabetes might be what they call reversible. The technical term is in remission. That's when your blood sugar's down to what they call normal range, which is 5.6% in your A1Cs, and that means you can get off the medication. Some people call it a cure. It's not that, because you cannot be cured of diabetes at present, not until they're able to replicate beta cells and have them in your body without being rejected. Now, but remission is good as well. So, I'm just getting things looked at and taken care of, and people have been impressed that I've been grabbing hold of this. I mean, there's not much choice, honestly. It's like it's either I make these changes and live a long, healthy life under the circumstances, or I could continue on like I did and end up like bad shit happening. Anyway, on that note, we shall merrily move along to the let's play portion of our broadcast. And
There we go. Alrighty. I believe we were looking for the child.
Yes, and we were in the slums. We'd just gone to the bar.
Alrighty. No, we still need to figure out where the hell the child went.
of course, that is probably futile because finding a child when they do not wish to be found can be very difficult.
Possibly. Okay. So I guess we can look up here if the, child ran up the rice path or whatever the stuff is.
Uh,
Hmm.
not. We can check the entrance.
The entrance to the city?
Yes. But first, let's go up there.
Oh.
Carving of deity colossal. Sure, there was a less grammatically terrible way of putting that.
Yeah, but it sounds cool when you'd use bad grammar.
Bad grammar is copyrightable.
Yeah, but in this case, it's just cool. 'Cause who's copywriting that term?
Fair. Alright, so I do not see child. How?
Carbon 14 date.
Ah,
Except not specifically that,
yeah.
because it was never alive.
So you want me to check by the gate?
Check the gate itself.
Alright.
Because if I'm remembering correctly, that thing had a connection to the ruins.
You want me to speak to the gate?
Yes.
Uh, it's like cell set.
All right.
Oh god, they beheaded the robot.
Okay. So, cat kiss.
I think that was what let it open before.
All right. Then meet the kiss.
Give up.
All right. Wait. Let's try cat kiss.
Well, the Kekis is what lets us just go into the city.
All right. So clearly, there is a connection between here and there.
Alright, so do we want to leave or do we want to try the slums one more time?
Let's try the slums one more time, and if we don't find them, then we'll leave.
Alrighty then. I guess we just leave then.
All right.
Write the kid off as dead?
Sure. Unless he's stowed away on the ship.
Possible. Leave the moon. I guess put her through.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, what do you want? So tell me.
I guess we're going to IOX.
Oh, that got answered very quickly. And since we've been there more than once, we'll be able to fast travel.
Indeed.
I don't think it even gave us a choice. Or no, there it is. Exit. That's not good.
Yeah.
A confidence. Don't think I would use that word.
I mean, we'll find out if the entire place is in shambles.
I mean, I think it's being used in the same context as telling you something in confidence.
I know, I'm still
But
not.
I've never heard it constructed that way, though. No.
Another odd bit of grammar. All right, let's see what.
You said something about the crown.
Yeah. Sure you don't.
Yeah, get to the point. Is she okay?
Go on.
Are you ill? Oh God, here we go.
So people
Okay.
say.
Yeah, what are you hoping to find here?
Inside 6? Oh God. Meanwhile, 6 over there, like, what the fuck they talking about?
But what do they know?
Everything. Is she on one hell of a trip?
Did you call us here
So
to?
what do you want me to do?
Renba discovered the last emperor's body. There's a board around the ship, I think.
That was a debug command for the robot, I'm guessing.
We learned this.
Is that Elberethian?
It is.
Right, but
James. Alright, 1. Sounds a lot like Elaborate Patois.
patois.
I guess 2?
Yes. Patkis.
Give me a moment.
Mm-hmm.
I guess...
Patkis. How is 6 talking ancient? There. Renba was from Lobrith. Sounds like we're heading back there.
Yep.
Maybe. It all sounds wrong in his voice. At least that's what I feel. Makes sense. You can try saying Malifar.
We want to try 2?
Sure, those are both things from what he said to us. Or it, whatever.
Not fair?
Well, I guess we could try Katiokis too
Yeah.
after we do Malifar, assuming it repeats.
Do we want to try what Welsk?
Katiokis was in its thing, so we try that. Unless you have already.
I don't think we've tried after Mithera.
Bali?
Ifarali. Professor, what is it you think I can do? There was one other thing we didn't desk, but it was like 2 things into the thing, so.
Well, also, I think we need someone who knows, ancient.
What is it?
Minyaki. What does the name mean? Or where did it come from?
I guess just go to the Nightingale.
Yep.
Leave the moon. So where do we want to go next?
I mean, presumably to that new place he thought of.
The Withering place?
If that's what he said it meant.
I think we should go to Elobirth first.
Elbereth, okay.
Sailing away.
Hopefully this doesn't make us lose an opportunity.
Well, it's more we're running kind of on time, and I don't want to get stuck in a exploration thing, dealy bob. Versus this, where we can just fast travel.
True.
And watch you find the kid. Alright. So I guess we're going in the city?
Yes. Or, we're futzing about with this gate.
Have we tried Mafar?
No, but we can try it.
Ifari.
Sorry.
Hmm?
Sorry.
Myersey?
All right. Yeah, whatever.
I guess Iox. We need to know the ancient names for place, I guess.
Well, we have that one place.
Still, this is progress.
Yeah, Yeah, we can probably see top eye before we probably end this.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, this doesn't seem good. Oh, just a loading screen. I was like, did we just get into battle in a turn-based RPG? Go outside. Do we want to show him an artifact or just talk to him?
Show him an artifact. Came all this way.
Flag scrap or pre-Empire map site?
Let's go with the scrap.
All right then. Oh boy. Words.
All right, we'll wrap up after we transliterate this.
Yeah. Speak of.
Record of speech.
Yeah, we can. It'll let us adjust that in a minute.
I guess there are still ofs that we can put in there, but
Yeah.
I doubt they're that grammatically at that point in the thing. I think the speak is still right.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's the middle of bless without the.
Say either loop or harvest. Probably loop, since the loop is sacred.
Oh, that could be.
Loop. This is a ribbon of paper, right? Loop of stories?
Stories.
Or words.
Love? It's
Well,
related to
it's
friend? It's either love or build, I'm thinking.
maybe build.
Yeah, I'm thinking there's probably more.
Also,
We're
it's not.
missing.
That's not it. Something else is wrong, but I'm not sure which part.
Also, it feels like we're missing just part of that. What's left of that sentence anyway.
Uh-huh.
And do we want to show them the effigy too?
We'll do that next time.
Alrighty. So I'm going to go to the topic of discussion then.
Yes. All right. Welcome to the topic of discussion for the week. So at long last, we are finally talking about the Sega Genesis Mini 2, or Mega Drive, depending on your country of origin.
Yup.
And while this has been on the fucking docket for months, literal months, it's actually a good time to talk about this because it's coming October 27th, which is what
Less
like
than
a
2
week
weeks?
a bit more than 2 weeks.
Mm.
So yeah, the Sega Genesis Mini 2 is obviously following in the footsteps of the first Genesis Mini. Only the big selling points here are there are more games. Like I think, what is it? Trying to think of how, like 60, 70 games. Like, but not only that, like the big selling point here, in terms of classic games, is this is going to be the first time Sega CD games are getting officially emulated. You know, we're not talking about just general emulation. This is the first time Sega has ever put out Sega CD games in any sort of official capacity. Like, and that is no small thing. That means that Sega CD emulation has come far enough along where it's commercially viable. Like, something I think that Saturn emulation is still lacking.
Yeah, well, I think a lot of it is Saturn emulation. Saturn code in general might as well be a spaghetti set, because good lord.
Yeah. The Saturn was a very unusual system. Like,
That's putting it lightly.
and it's not just the code. It's like the everything.
Yeah, the
Because
architecture, how the lockouts and stuff work.
the display, like,
Yeah,
that's a
display
because,
is oof.
well, it's because it used like 2 processors and it did not render in triangles.
Yeah, the Saturn used a quadrilateral based polygon system, which is different.
That's, yeah, different's a way to put that.
Though also
I mean, when you're looking at it, there's an argument that quadrilaterals are sort of basic in terms of what you think when you're building things, but the triangle is more logical for 2 reasons, being the minimum number of points required to define a plane and the smallest number of points to, it's the smallest quadrilateral or smallest polygon there is. So if you need a square, you just make it out of 2 triangles.
Yeah.
With the quadrilateral base, presumably if you need a triangle, you just make it so that 2 of the points coincide. But anyway, sorry.
Yeah.
it's fine. Yeah, anyway, and the other big selling point is that there are going to be games, quote unquote, ported to the Genesis for the first time.
Yeah, what is it, like Space Harrier is one of them?
I think so. Or, yeah, there's a couple. There's a few of them in this. And also, one of the big distinction here is that the libraries of the Japanese Mega Drive Mini 2 and the Western, European, and North American models are going to have different libraries. In some cases, vastly different libraries, due to various factors.
Mostly licensing.
among other things. Like specifically region licensing, because a big centerpiece for the Japanese Genesis Mini 2 is going to be the Popful Mail and Lunar Silver Star, and I think Lunar Eternal Blue is in there as well, which are huge cult classics.
Yeah, did the Lunar Genesis games even make it to the West?
Oh, very much.
Mm.
But therein lies the problem. I cite these three because they were released by Working Designs.
Oh, that's our problem.
Yes, and if people were actually I was not expecting these games to come over because Sega doesn't own the translation rights to those. Presumably, Victor Ireland still owns that, but it could be someone else. Keep in mind, Working Designs died in 2005, and the only choices here were to go through the fucking hell of either figuring out the licensing situation of these games or do a new translation.
Or they could be the absolute mad lads and put it in original Japanese.
That wasn't gonna. That wasn't gonna happen because these are role-playing games.
I know. That's why I said that's the mad lad option.
It's like being shocked that Romance of the Three Kingdoms 3 for the Sega CD or Mega CD isn't coming over because I don't think that got. Well, let me make sure that is one of the ones. Yeah, that isn't coming over, but that's not only very Japanese. It's a strategy game.
Mm-hmm.
Unless there's a translation for these, you're not going to see these over here. As much as it would be nice to have the Lunar games, if they're in Japanese, you have to have a working knowledge of Japanese in order to play a role-playing game.
Yeah.
Unless you utterly don't care about the plot and are very willing to, wander around and bump into things until you find where you're supposed to go.
Isn't that how your Sundays go?
Ha! Thankfully, we haven't done any RPGs that work that way. With all of these, you just get dumped into a scenario.
Yeah. Anyway, so going through the full list here, on the Western Front, we've got Afterburner 2, Alien Soldier, Atomic Runner, Bonanza Brothers, Clay Fighter, Crusader of Senti, Desert Strike, which was a bit of a surprise, the unreleased game Devil and Pill, Earthworm Jim 2, Elemental Master, a new port of Fantasy Zone, Fatal Fury 2, Gain Ground, Golden Axe 2, Granada, Hellfire, Herzog Zwei, Lightning Force / Thunder Force 4, Midnight Resistance, The Ooze, Outrun, Outrunners, Phantasy Star 2, Populous, a new port of Puyo Puyo Sun, Rainbow Islands Extra, Ranger X, The Revenge of Shinobi, Rystar, Rolling Thunder 2, Shadow Dancer 2, Shining Force 2, Shining in the Darkness, Sonic 3D Blast, Space Harrier 2, a new port of it, a unreleased game, Splatterhouse 2, Star Mobile, Streets of Rage 3, Super Hang-On, a new port of Super Locomotive, Super Street Fighter 2, Toe Jam and Earl in Panic on Funkatron, Truxton, Vector Man 2, Viewpoint, Virtua Racing, and Warsong for the Genesis collection. And on the Sega / Mega CD front, we got Echo the Dolphin CD, Echo the Tides of Time CD, Final Fight CD, Mansion of Hidden Souls, Night Striker, Night Trap, The Ninja Warriors, Robo Aleste, Sewer Shark, Shining Force CD, Sylphid, and Sonic CD.
Surprising number of 2s without corresponding 1s on that list.
Because the 1s are on the original one.
Exactly.
All of them were? Okay.
Most, if not all of them, were, yes.
I didn't remember Earthworm Jim being there, but I believe it.
Yeah, Earthworm Jim was actually in the first Sega Genesis Mini, which is why Earthworm Jim 2 is showing up.
Fair enough. I suppose they don't want to make the first one obsolete.
Which is
On the
funny
off
because
chance-
you can't get that.
I was going to say, on the off chance that you can find one anywhere.
Well, this is also why we're getting the Sonic Afterbirth here. Because note that they're putting in Sonic 3D Blast and Sonic CD, and no Sonic 1 or 2.
Yeah.
That means and I will note a good chunk of these games are from previous collections, and some of them have been collected to death. There's no getting around that. But some of them are fresh-faced or haven't been released all that often.
I know Outrun's not been released very often because of the Ferrari license.
Outrunners. Whereas something like the Revenge of Shinobi, pick a Sega Genesis Classic Collection, you're probably going to find that there, or Streets of Rage 3, Vector Man 2. Again, there are games here. Virtual Racing is another surprise because that one was very technologically challenging. As the Genesis version used a special chip. I guess it's good to see that here, but honestly, it would have been nice if we had some 32X action here as well.
Probably for the Mini 3.
And going through the Japanese games, we got Afterburner 2, Alien Soldier, Bonanza Brothers. I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce this, but Chelnoff, I think. Columns 3, for some reason we're not getting the Columns game, even though we got Columns 3 in previous collections. Crusader of Senti, Devil to Pi, Fatal Fury 2, Fantasy Zone, Game Ground, Granada, Halmandia. I'll admit to not being very familiar with a lot of these games. Hononju Honu no Tokyuji Dodge Dunpai, Magical Taru Tokun. Yes, I know this is grading. It's grading for me as well. Menage Dojo, Mega Panel, Midnight Resistance, Nadia the Secret of Blue Water. Okay, I can tell you why this isn't coming over, because that's a licensed title. I know what Nadia the Secret of the Blue Water is. Outrun, Party Quiz, Mega Q 2022, and Party Q Sega Q. These are very Japanese games that are not worth bringing over ever. Fantasy Star 2, Populous is making a Eastern Bridge. Bit surprised there. Pio Pio Sun, Puzzle in Action, Incandescent R, Ranger X, Shining in the Darkness. No Shining Force 2. Curious. Ranger X. Right, Sorcerian, which I think is another. Space Harrier 2, the updated version. Splatterhouse 2, Star Cruiser, Star Mobile. Super Locomotive, Super Street Fighter 2, the new challengers. Tatsujin, which is Truxton. Thunder Force 4, Togi Ao, King Colossus, Viewpoint, and Virtua Racing. So yeah, you're going to notice some differences, but there is a lot of overlap. Probably the biggest disparity is the Mega CD, because they're getting a lot more of them. Captain Tsubasa, Echo the Dolphin CD, Final Fight CD, Lunar Eternal Blue, Lunar the Silver Star, Mahu no Shoujo Silky Lip, Mansion of Hidden Souls, Night Striker, Night Trap, The Ninja Warriors, Popful Mail, Robo Aleste, Romance of the Three Kingdoms 3, Shin Megami Tensei, Shining Force CD, Sylphid, Sonic's CD, Starblade, Tenka Fubu, and the Wonder Mega Collection. So yeah, if there's something that's not coming over here, it's usually because it's very Japanese. I will note, like, there are some stuff that isn't going to Japan. Like, they are not getting Desert Strike, which is a shame because Desert Strike is one of the better strike games. And on the other hand, they're not getting Clay Fighter, which was never the best fighting game, but on the Genesis, it was especially not good.
Yeah.
A pretty lousy Super Nintendo port.
Yeah, ports being kind of questionable in that generation goes both ways a little bit.
Especially if they leveraged a lot of the Mode 7 stuff.
Like, on the other hand, the Earthworm Jim games were played best on the Genesis. Like, so yeah, if nothing else, there's a lot of value here. Like, I couldn't offer up full opinions on every game here because I am not familiar with a lot of the Japanese stuff, to say the least. But I suppose the question is, how much is a Sega Genesis Mini going to run you? And the answer is it's going, if you can still pre-order one at this stage, it's going to run you $100, at least over here.
Yeah.
Europe, I think it's going to be a bit more expensive. And Japan, even more so, especially if you're putting into account shipping prices. Because from what I understand, these are going to be, even though they're not from limited run games, there's going to be a limited print run on these.
Yeah, because electronic shortages and whatnot.
Yes. So on the one hand, it's nice that we're getting this collection, and we're getting Sega CD games, but I hope to see the Sega CD stuff put out on a Sega CD collection independent of the Genesis Mini 2, because, look, let's face facts here. A lot of people aren't going to get the chance to experience this.
Yeah.
All right.
At least on the physical actual Mini.
Yeah. People will probably have a dump of it to load on, like, Raspberry Pis and stuff by the end of the year.
That is kind of the problem. That is kind of the hazard of these things, is that they are basically system on a chip in a aesthetically pleasing box.
All right. All right. So I think that's about it on the Sega Genesis. Wait, I'm like, if I'm remembering correctly, I think Japan is going to have the 6-button controller, and we're going to have the 3-button controller, or something.
I thought
like
they
that.
were giving 6-button controllers to everyone.
Yeah, it was the Mini 1 that we got screwed over. Mini 2, we're all getting 6-button.
Because this one includes games you actually needed for, instead of just games that are.
The Mini 1 had stuff that was played better with 6-button controllers.
That's what I was going to say. This time it has games where it's actually required instead of just much better.
Right. Like, okay. So, yeah, I think that's about it on the Sega Genesis Mini 2. Right, and indeed, that'll about do it for this installment of Fragments of Silicon. Right, so the week ahead. Let's see. So we do have a new installment of Moonhawk Studios Presents in the works. It's going to run a bit differently. Because Mac is going to be entertaining guests, we're going to be broadcasting Moonhawk Studios Presents on this channel, the Fragments of Silicon channel. I'm going to be hosting. And we do have a guest lineup. And he hasn't canceled. It's actually been a while since we've had this. So, it's going to be our grand pleasure to welcome Saberspark to our shores. He of YouTube cartoonist essay fame. I'm looking forward to this because I've been watching his videos for a good long while. On Friday, October 14th, we'll be having Zlo Oe, Bucketful Games. We'll be talking about Chair Racing Simulator. And so next week we got something a bit special. We will be having an interview, just not a direct one. So we're trying a little experiment. We'll be interviewing Blue Isle Studios, and they said they were interested in an interview, but they got time crunched out of actually appearing on the show. So we're going to do an email interview. So I'm going to send them a bunch of questions. Presumably my colleagues will have a couple of questions as well. And I will ask the questions, and Galax, you'll probably play the answer guy.
Oh boy! Also, if you, as part of our audience, have questions, if you're in our Discord, you could drop those, and maybe we'll include them.
Yep.
Yeah, maybe mention that in our Discord.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Let me see if that thing's still there.
Anyway, so until Friday, I shall wish you good gaming.